The trade deadline has officially passed, and a lot of Habs fans are saying that this was a really disappointing deadline. Was it? Myself and Jesse are going to be breaking down what we think Kent Hughes' goal was, and why maybe this deadline ended up maybe not as good as some Habs fans would have wanted. Plus, the future for some guys that were not moved, like Joel Edmundson and Sean Monahan. We'll be getting into all that on this edition of Habs Digest. Hello, bonjour, ahoy, and welcome to today's second news edition of Habs Digest. I'm your host, Josh Gosse, alongside my co-host, Jesse Poirier. Reminder, hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 5,000 subs. We passed 4,200, flying colors, on the way to 43. Help us out. Oh, we know we can get there soon. All right, Jesse, let's get into this. I think I kind of want to start today with a bit of a Habs trade deadline recap. We already made a couple videos discussing the Gurianov trade. Go watch those if you haven't. We made two videos. One, the real reason why they traded for Gurianov, and one just summarizing the trade. Jesse, I'm just going to get into the few trades that happened today. The first one that happened was, not that one, this one here. The Canadiens have acquired defenseman Frederic Allard from the Los Angeles Kings in exchange for forward Nate Schnarr. Really just an AHL trade. And the second one is the Canadiens have acquired a 2024 fifth round pick and defenseman Tony Sund, who is in the SHL and is never going to come over, from the San Jose Sharks as a part of a 3-team trade as they brokered the Nick Bonino deal. Jesse, I'm seeing a lot of Habs fans saying things, for example, like, if coming into this year, knowing the contracts we have on the books, if I knew that we would only get Denis Gurianov and a fifth round pick, I'd be pretty disappointed. What are your thoughts on the deadline?
Well, I really blame Jonathan Drouin. But we know that they weren't exactly setting the world on fire. A lot of injuries kind of coming into place. You know that probably both Edmundson and Monahan would have been traded, if they were okay. But you know what, Josh? Now wasn't the time to go out and make like a blockbuster trade. The Habs need to be patient. They need to bide their time. The team's going to look a lot different next year. We're going to have even more young guys coming in, if you could imagine. And then we're going to be building around that young core. And then I think a couple of those veterans will change, and we've already seen that with Dadonov. I am super happy about that trade already. Yeah. And just for kind of the whole culture thing, no disrespect to Evgeny, but I think we're all due for a change there. So that's off to a good start, but I think it's just a matter of time till Kent Hughes, resolves, the Mike Hoffman, as well as Jonathan Drouin, everything else.
Yeah, I mean, whoa, you mean to tell me that no team wanted to take on a player making $5 million who has 0 goals? I mean, look, I get it. It's a tough position for Kent Hughes to be in, right? I don't think it's I feel like it's fair to say it was a disappointing deadline. However, what I don't think is fair is for people saying like Kent Hughes should have done more, because let's look at what he had to work with, right? Joel Edmundson got hurt. Monahan got hurt. Those were two guys that could have very well been moved at the deadline, and I feel like Kent Hughes didn't want to settle. We don't know what Monahan's future... Well, actually, we kind of do. We'll be getting into that in the second part of this video, but... again, Jonathan Drouin really didn't play well. Hoffman, no teams were interested in adding his big salary to their playoff roster. I'm surprised there weren't more talks about Dvorak. Yeah, there was a tweet earlier saying the Habs were fielding calls on him, which was pretty cool. But at the same time, nothing happened. And really the biggest move of the day was that there was an AHL deal where Frederic Allard, of course, there was all that speculation. Oh, Edmondson's going to get moved. He's going to be the backup to put into the defense tonight because he's in the LA area. No, it ended up not happening. He's gone all the way to Laval already. So, Jesse, I don't really know how to phrase this, but what do you think? Do you think there's anything Kent Hughes could have done more this deadline? Because I'm of the thought that, I think he did exactly what he needed to do, and given the conditions, given all the injuries, I don't mind that he played it slow, and I think that he'll have a lot of big things coming come this offseason. What are your thoughts on that?
Exactly it. And you know that he was getting calls on probably all the players that we've mentioned, but with Christian Dvorak's contract, it's not expiring at the end of the year. Nope. It's going to be a lot easier to move during the summer. What I did like, and what we did talk about on the show, I mentioned how I felt like they would use their cap space to try and get some draft picks, kind of brokering those deals. So they did use 2 of their 3 spots to do that, which you're on a rebuilding team, using some of your cap space to get some picks. I think, that's some great work. What's so great about the Habs, especially of late, is that we're showing we can hit on those later round picks as well. So, that fifth rounder, who knows who that could be as well. But that's it. I think, we just have to wait. We have to be patient. I think a lot of those moves we're waiting for will be done this summer.
Yeah, I hope so. And of course, we'll hear a lot more talk about Dvorak, about Anderson, and we'll talk a bit more about, I guess, Monahan and Edmundson, and I guess there's no better time than now to transition into this part of the video. I feel like there was less talk about the trade deadline and more about who didn't get traded from Montreal. We spoke a bit about Dvorak, we spoke a bit about Hoffman. Of course, Dadonov did end up getting moved for Gurianov, who I love, by the way. That clapper goal last night, phenomenal. Like, that's exactly what I want to see from Gurianov. We didn't make a game recap of that game. We did a preview. It's close enough. One thing I learned from that game is that Gurianov needs to take Mike Hoffman's spot on that one-timer spot on the right side on the first power play. Hoffman's okay at it, but Gurianov seems to be a lot better. So anyway, I want to see that. But regardless, I digress. We're going to get into this part of the video. As you see this tweet from Chris Johnson saying the Habs are done for the day. Joel Edmundson wasn't moved. And the big hitter that just came out not that long before recording this video from Arber Basu, Kent Hughes says Sean Monahan suffered another injury while rehabbing, and he might be back before the end of the season. But if he is, it wouldn't be at 100%. I saw that today, and I was just like, are you kidding me? It raised so many questions. I'm seeing people questioning the Habs medical staff. I'm starting to think they got their degrees from some dude downtown on the corner of the street selling them for $5 a piece. No, but it's seriously though, it's been insane, the injuries this season. Edmundson is one thing, Jesse. I get he was injured, and he still has another year on his contract, I believe. There's room to move him. But what's your thoughts on Monahan, a guy who was playing so well for the Habs, was a key part of their top six, got injured, couldn't get moved, and now might not be back before the end of the season?
Yeah, we're having bad luck of key centers to our team in terms of Sean Monahan's and most recently Kirby Dach, where they're getting injuries and then it somehow progresses in something worse, like they injure their injury. You know, it's definitely not an ideal situation, just because everybody who's been watching the pod here knows how much of a fan I was of Monahan early on in this year, for great reason. I think he was really the glue keeping this young team together. But that leads me to a question that I've been thinking about today, Josh, regarding Sean Monahan.
Sure.
And it is, would you extend him this summer?
It depends, as a lot of things do. But if the Habs manage to get him at a low price, because it all depends on how Sean Monahan and his agent see himself, right? I don't see a world where they're going to accept like a veteran minimum, because he's proven that he's worth more than that when he's healthy. But that's the key thing, when he's healthy. At what price point, Jesse, do you got to say, like, I'm just not willing to take that? Like, if it's 2 years at $3 million per year, even then I might be hesitating. I'm like, if this guy's going to be on the IR for half the year every year, obviously we just don't know his history. Like, I think anything more than like $2.5, $3 million, I might balk at it. What are your thoughts? I'm just nervous.
Yeah, no, it's unfortunate. It's like I said, I'm a big fan of the player, but I would actually have to pass at this point.
Yeah.
We kind of took him knowing the injury history and just the fact that it's kind of happened again this year, and I know that we did get a pick for him and everything else with that contract. But just for me, it's really unfortunate, but I think I have to pass at this point just on the unfortunate circumstances this season.
I wish we had a few more details, because it feels like his whole injury thing is just so vague. He's been out, he was day to day, then week to week, and now it's been months and he might not be back till the end of the season. It's just so vague. We don't know the exact details about what's going on. We know he's been in a walking boot and all this, but I feel like if we knew more about the situation, maybe we can make better judgment. And if he is back before the end of the season, maybe he shows, hey, look, like, I'm still good. I just have this injury thing. Like, I can play 40 games a year, but that's it. How much do you want to pay me? So I don't mind that opinion of not wanting to go for it. I still have hope in Monahan, because he seems like a solid guy. He seems like a really, really good influence on the Habs. So I hope he sticks around. And I guess to end this off, let's just talk about Joel Edmundson. Do you think that at this point, with all the talk surrounding him this summer, I think it's just 1 year left on his contract, right? So will he get shipped to a contender this summer for some decent package? What do you think about that? I think he could be.
He will. Yeah. He will for sure. Just because with the kind of the glut of those young defensemen that we have, and then the type of just the type of NHL hockey that, it's really trending right now. We know our analytics department and everything like that. You got to know what their recommendations are at those positions. I think you definitely always want to keep at least one guy like that on your decor, just a big, huge 6'5", defenseman and everything else like that, like Joel Edmundson. But, for the most part, is, the analytics show is trending to a different game. I feel like Habs management recognized that. And for that reason, I think he'll be having a new home as of next season.
I think you're very much right about that, Jesse. Of course, he is a big influence on the locker room, and Kent Hughes, Jeff Gorton have said they want to keep some veterans around to help influence the young guys, but when you can get a solid return for a guy like Joel Edmundson, a guy who's spent a good few years with Montreal now, has been such an important part of the team, I think you might have to pull the trigger, but hey, we can't talk about that now until the offseason. Trade deadline has officially passed, and yeah, a little disappointing, but hey, Habs got something out of it, but I think we're in for a big offseason. That'll do it for this news edition of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, a comment, subscribe to the channel. We want to hit 5,000 subs. We don't know when we want to hit it, but we hope it's soon. You guys have been doing great with the subscription, so keep it up. We really love all you guys. Thank you so much for the support. I'm Josh Gosse for my co-host Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.